My question to everybody as we begin the review for CAF World Cup qualifiers. How many debutants will emerge from the CAF region and qualify for their first ever World Cup? Give me a number in the comments down below, as we're going to talk about Ghana being a perfect 6 for 6 in this window. South Africa, these guys can't stop winning. Nigeria, oh my god, you cannot drop points like that. Algeria, Amoura, an absolute masterclass yet again. Let's break down every single group. Group A, Egypt got another victory. Zizo, can we be super critical of Egypt? No, we can't. I know Egyptians want to be like perfect every single game. It's like Egypt, Morocco, I guess Ivory Coast, Senegal. If they're not destroying teams 4-5-0, there must be a problem. There has to be some minute detail that's not going right. I thought Egypt played pretty well in the game again. I thought they did really well against Ethiopia. I think they did here well against Sierra Leone. Yeah, a couple of times with the combination play between Marmoush and Salah, it was looking wonderful. I mean, Salah should have scored 2 goals in the game. I think Marmoush should have gotten a goal. I think people will look at the scoreline and say, Egypt, they just squeak by. Zizo with another goal. No. This game should have been 3-4-0. Okay, Sierra Leone had a couple of opportunities in the second half on the counterattack, but I think Egypt, they controlled the game very well. Hossam Hassan has actually done a very good job. Defensively, they look very solid. Going forward, we know they're going to be an elite team. Maybe they're going to have difficulties against low blocks in the future, whether it's in the AFCON or in the CAF World Cup qualifiers. But the superiority of their attack will carry them throughout these qualifiers. Egypt are heading in the right direction under Hossam Hassan. It's just got to keep on gelling as a team. Defensively, how do we stop the counterattacks? Midfield, how do we control the game? I think they're progressing well. Yes, of course, there could be a little bit better aspects of the game. Ethiopia, they win 6-1 over Djibouti. I mean, Djibouti have now got a minus 16 goal difference. Ethiopia, I think they only scored 1 goal prior to this game. They scored 6. And look, Ethiopia only 5 points behind Burkina Faso, so it's not dead and buried just yet. But Burkina Faso were the big victors in this group in match days 5 and 6 of CAF World Cup qualifiers, because Lassina Traore, I think he might be top goal scorer in CAF World Cup qualifiers. He's been unbelievable. And his club situation is not going well with Shakhtar, but with the national team, Lassina Traore steps up. They didn't even need Bertrand Traore. He didn't even start in this game against Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau, a little bit worrying performances. They did not look good in either game, I thought. The Sierra Leone performance, defensively, all over the place. This game against Burkina Faso, just simple goals again. But Lassina Traore's quality and Burkina Faso quality, even though they didn't even have Top Soba during this window, just shows that Burkina Faso are heading in the right direction. They had a little bit of a dip in form earlier on in these qualifiers, you know, the draw against Sierra Leone. But Burkina Faso, they're still going to host Egypt in September. That could be a tricky game for Egypt, and I think that will be a good game to judge. Are Egypt really good? And are Burkina Faso getting back to the stallion status that they are? Because before, they were the ponies. Now, the stallions are emerging. Going away to Guinea-Bissau and getting a 2-1 victory, I think it speaks volumes to how they're progressing as a team, and Lassina Traore getting back in form. Massively missed opportunity here for Sudan. Of course, they're only 1 point behind DR Congo, and now the top 3 are separated by 1 point. I mean, all of these 3 teams, if you just base it right now, should be qualifying to the World Cup. I think all 3 teams are quality. Sudan just missed the opportunity here because they take the lead. They created enough opportunities against South Sudan, and it's just the one last chance that South Sudan had. A howler from the goalkeeper, a bicycle kick goal from Sebit, and that's it. 1-1. You gotta feel bad for Sudan in their aspirations to qualify for their first ever World Cup. And they haven't lost a game yet through 6 games, but it's just, you have to get 3 points against South Sudan. That is mandatory if you're Sudan. So they missed an opportunity there. Senegal, again, they didn't play well, but they got 2 goals, and that's enough to beat Togo, and Togo have been drawing almost all the games so far. And look, Senegal, through 6 games, 1 goal conceded and 8 goals scored. They gotta get the goal scoring sorted out. Maybe Nico Jackson can help out. Assane Diao, he started this game, didn't look the best, I thought, compared to his form with Como. But Senegal just need time, I think, to build the chemistry up front. But they should be dealing with Togo, and they did that. And DR Congo, they pick up another victory, even though they didn't perform the best. And you got to give massive praise to Zabre, the DR Congo manager. Zabre is doing a phenomenal job. What we saw at the AFCON, solid team all over the field, good midfield, very good attack elite defense, and they're continuing that form. AFCON qualifiers to World Cup qualifiers. Pickle gets an early goal. Did DR Congo play the best? No, they didn't. I felt like Mauritania really troubled them in set pieces. But Mayele, again, this guy has been very clutch off the bench. Off the bench, scores against Senegal. Off the bench here against Mauritania and gets the goal. And DR Congo, are these guys going to qualify for the World Cup? Even if they don't qualify directly from this group, I think you'll see later with the runners-up in each group, I think DR Congo right now, if they went to that playoff, would win it. They are a very solid team. They might not score a lot of goals. I think Wissa needs to really step up for this national team. The defense is elite, led by, of course, the leader Mbemba. So yeah, DR Congo, they keep on performing well. And now it gets so interesting September because we're going to have such massive games that will have significant implications on this group. Hugo Broos and Bafana, South Africa, they are in a fantastic position with 4 games to go, 5-point lead. They beat Lesotho, even though there was the whole debate with Mokoena whether South Africa wouldn't get the 3 points. It looks like that case is dropped or it's going to FIFA, but South Africa should be fine. Mokoena didn't even play this game against Benin, but South Africa, don't sleep on these guys. They are right now a top 5 team on the continent. They are a top 5 team. They don't have the stars. They don't have a lot of players playing in Europe. It don't matter. When you watch them play, such a well-drilled team. Just tactically, every player just has wonderful chemistry with each other. Defensively, they are so solid. They have a lot of different goal scorers. So you saw in this game, Foster finally getting a goal. Even though his overall performance still wasn't like Foster-esque, getting a goal might bring some huge confidence to him club-wise and national team-wise, because I think that's what South Africa are missing. They just need a goal scorer up front, and if they can get that, you don't want to play this team. You don't. The 2 fullbacks doing very well. Obviously, we know with Madao down the right side, always getting forward. But Adams off the bench getting a goal. South Africa in the first half, they created a half-decent chances. But the second half, once they got that early goal, they created chances. And then Adams, of course, off the set piece with a wonderful header. And I just love this Bafana team because it's just a team that you can appreciate. They play good football. Defensively are solid. No egos. Just getting the results, getting the performances, and getting that hope of a nation of qualifying for their first World Cup since 2010 when they hosted it. And first outright from the qualifiers since 2002. And I think Bafana are heading in the right direction. They haven't lost a game in like a 90-minute game. Obviously, they lost to Nigeria, but extra time tax. They haven't lost since Mali, the first game of AFCON. South Africa, they are in a great position. They host Nigeria in September. If they beat them, I think it's over because you can't trust Rwanda. Benin, decent team. Lesotho, no chance. Zimbabwe, a decent team as well. Now it's about them doing the job, and now they're going to have massive support, I think, from the entire nation, and everybody should be tuning in. If you don't watch Bafana, I would highly recommend it. What I would not recommend is the Super Eagles of Nigeria, because they will give you hope. They will reel you in and say, yes, we're back, guys. We're going to play great against Rwanda. I thought, oh my God, Eric Sile got it tactically spot on. We then get to the Zimbabwe game, and it just feels like this team mentally are just not there. There was not the desire from the first minute. Okay, yeah, they created half-decent chances. They were getting the ball a lot. They were getting it out wide to whether it's Simon or Chukwueze or Lukman in the 10 role. Yeah, Nigeria, they looked busy. They looked really busy. They looked like they were having control of this game. But every time Zimbabwe went on the attack, all it just took was one long ball, and Bassi and Trustekong, the space in between the two center backs was inevitable. And I don't know why Eric Sile, compared to the Rwanda game, where they were high pressing, winning the ball high up the field, it feels like they didn't go with that same tactical idea in this game. The pressing wasn't there. Indeed, he couldn't control the game. I mean, he was the only one in the midfield trying to control the game because Iwobi was out there. Yeah, he did some nice tricks, but Iwobi didn't have his impact on this matchup. I personally do not like to see Ademola Lookman in the 10 role. Where does Ademola Lookman cook so well for Atalanta, guys? Out wide on the left, getting the ball in one-on-one situations, beating a man, and then he either has a back post cross to Retegi or he takes a shot off. In the 10 role, he's just not as effective. That's not Ademola Lookman's game. Just switch, I don't know, either switch Chukwueze in the 10 role, put Simon on the right, but get Lookman out wide on the left. But fantastic that Osimhen is the one carrying. There can be so much criticism on Victor Osimhen that he didn't perform at the last AFCON. Okay, rightfully so. He didn't do his best. Victor Osimhen has shown up this window with 3 goals. Great cross in from Ola Aina. Osimhen gets the goal, and I thought, there it is. You didn't play well. You got the 3 points. That's all that matters in World Cup qualifiers. You didn't play well. You get 3 points. You can move on. Confidence booster heading into September. And what happens? What happens defensively and howler from Troost-Ekong? The attempted tackle is so weak from Troost-Ekong that Chirewe, he beats him easily, gets it past Noah Bali, and it's a goal for Zimbabwe. I thought Zimbabwe, again, they're a decent team. Going forward, look strong. Defensively, I didn't think they were their strongest against Nigeria. But Zimbabwe, underrated team heading into the AFCON. Don't sleep on Zimbabwe. They could definitely surprise a few teams. But I think this is more Nigeria. You're 1-0 up at home. You're at home. And you concede in the 90th minute? Inexcusable. Inexcusable from the Super Eagles. And it sucks. Because I've grown up all the time seeing Nigeria, 98, 2002, 2010, 2014, 2018, qualifying to the World Cup. Yeah, sometimes they didn't get past the group stage. Entertaining team, a lot of good players. But now it's like, they have the good players. I honestly don't know what's missing. It must just be a mentality thing. That when they feel the pressure to perform, they simply can't do it. For the rest of these games, there is 4 games left for Eric Serle's side. There is no doubt about it. They have to win every game. If they want to have a chance of even winning this group, they have to win every game. And even if you want to get to the runners-up position, they have to win every game. So it's not looking good. I don't think you can criticize a lot Eric Serle for this because the mess was already beforehand. The first 4 games, it was a disaster. Even the AFCON qualifiers, they just squeak by some results. So there's a lot of issues with Nigeria. But the one thing is, at least Victor Osimhen showed up. At least he showed up. Nigerians, let me know your thoughts. What is the number one issue with this team? Is it a mentality thing? Is it personnel? Do you want to criticize Eric Serle and his tactics or lineup choices? I don't think he could have done much else with the lineup. Maybe the only thing I have against Eric Serle is just play Lukman in his natural position. 4 points, you could say, is not a bad window, but with the circumstances that Nigeria are in with this group, they had to get 6 points. Nothing else. And right now, it's looking very dire, their World Cup status at the moment. And Rwanda get a 1-1 draw with Lesotho. Hey, Lesotho get another point. Maybe a missed opportunity for Rwanda there. I didn't get to check out the game, so just going strictly by result. Good thing for Lesotho. And Lesotho trying to get 3 points from South Africa. Didn't really work out. Obviously, it's going to FIFA, so we'll see what that happens with the Mokoena situation. But yeah, it gets interesting in this group. Massive, massive window for South Africa. And now we go to September and we see what happens between Bafana Bafana and Nigeria. The Blue Sharks of Cape Verde. They are now 4 games away from creating one of the best storylines heading into that World Cup and qualifying for their first ever World Cup. Obviously, Eswatini, Mauritius 3-3. Entertaining games between the bottom 2 teams. 6 goals. So wonderful there, considering that Eswatini took a 2-0 lead in first 20 minutes. But the big game, of course, was Angola and Cabo Verde in Luanda. Horrible result for Angola. Their unbeaten status in this group goes away. I don't think they played well. They looked busy. They got a, fortunate goal from Dala with the set piece, but Angola didn't play well. The 2 goals for Cape Verde, mind you, they had 2 players go down injured in the first 20-25 minutes of the game. I watched the game. It was a somewhat entertaining game, but I feel like the attacks for both teams, they were just lacking that final ball. But the player off the bench, Livramento, that's the thing for Cape Verde. They have a very good attack, even on the starting lineup, but their bench is also good. And we still haven't seen that fluid play from Cabo Verde like we saw at the AFCON. I think the performance against Mauritius, I don't think Cape Verde played well, but they got the 3 points. I don't think they played well here against Angola, but they get the 3 points. That's all that matters, right, people? As long as you're winning, you can have no issues about it. You can be critical all you want. You can be so minute about every detail. But I think for Cape Verde, considering they haven't played the best away from home in a long time in AFCON qualifiers and World Cup qualifiers, to go to Luanda and getting 3 points, wow, that must just be such elation for the team and the fans and everybody of Cape Verde. So I think it was a massively disappointing game from Angola. Defensively, the both goals, where is the defense? Just one simple pass broke the entire press for that first goal. The second goal, I don't know what the two center backs for Angola are doing, because Livramento is just standing there. He's waiting for the pass, anticipating it, gets eventually the pass. Great finish from him, but I'm looking at the Angolan defense and saying, you have to do better there. But take nothing away. This is a massive result for Cape Verde. Are they going to create history here, people? 4 games to go. Mind you, they go away to Libya, which is not going to be easy. But they do host Cameroon. They host Cameroon. I think it was September, the game. That is everything. If Cape Verde beats Cameroon, they might be going to the World Cup, which would be sensational to see Cape Verde. Everybody would have to get a kit, and the Blue Sharks would create one of the best storylines in World Cup qualifying history for such a small nation. The best thing would be then to see Portugal go up against Cape Verde in the World Cup. That would be awesome. Disappointing for Angola, 6 points now behind Cape Verde. I feel like their World Cup dreams are now done, and now it's a shootout between Cape Verde and the team that won 3-1, Cameroon, after a dismal performance against Eswatini. Dismal performance. To beat Libya 3-1, good response. Even though Libya had their chances in this game, can't deny Vincent Aboubakar. He always steps up in these CAF World Cup qualifying games to AFCON. The guy is just such a influential leader for this team. We saw the interview they had the day before where the whole entire team were in front of the press and saying, just back us. Give us some support, please, because there's so much criticism on the manager, obviously Samuel Eto'o, the FA president, but they actually performed really well, even though defensively I thought they didn't look the best, because every time Libya went forward, it looked like they were going to create an opportunity or score a goal. But Cameroon, much better from Mbeumo, who I thought was terrible against Eswatini. He stepped up with a massive goal. Good individual play by him to finish into the bottom left corner. Yeah, Cameroon desperately needed this. For all the negative news there is about the team, the FA, on the players, on the manager, to get this victory over Libya, now all Cameroon have to do is really just beat Cape Verde away from home, and Cameroon should be qualifying to the World Cup. Yeah, good performance from Baleba. I would also say to Mbeumo, to obviously Vincent Aboubakar. So overall, good from them. Libya, I actually thought they played pretty well in the game. It's just they didn't take their chances. That's the only issue for Libya. And we'll see how Aliou Cisse is going to develop this team. I think their ultimate goal is to qualify for the next AFCON, not 2025, but 2027. That's why they hired Aliou Cisse, maybe convincing that some players that are retired internationally that play in Europe, obviously most notably Al Musrati. Big window for Cape Verde. Good results for Cameroon, considering they played terrible against Eswatini. And I think it's now done for Angola and Libya. Only one game in this group, again, as Morocco won 2-0 over Tanzania. Not the best performance again. It's like the same thing I say for Egypt to Ivory Coast. I feel like every Moroccan will be so critical of Regagi and these players until they actually do something, or they win 7-0 against Tanzania. Tanzania, they're a pretty difficult team to play against. They're going to sit in a low block, be very organized, and it's hard to break them down. Now, of course, you expect with the quality of players that Morocco have that they should be scoring maybe 3 to 4 goals. Hey, at least they got the goals. At least they won the game. Can there be positives? Can there be room for improvement? Of course. I'm not the biggest fan of Abde Azouli. I see him a lot play for Real Betis. His decision making is poor. He can beat a man, right? He can look very good down the wing, but his final ball, his final shot on goal is just so terrible. Ben Zakir, I think he needs to step up for this national team a lot. The only player that you say, wow, what's a player, and he's going to be so pivotal for the AFCON and the World Cup next year, is Brahim Diaz. Baller, man, because he doesn't start for Real Madrid all the time. It's unfortunate for him. But Moroccans, let me know your thoughts. Are you a big fan of Abde? I'm not his biggest fan. I have to be honest. Look, 2-0 against Tanzania, difficult opponent. You get the win. You inch closer to the World Cup. Obviously, Morocco will have to wait until September to qualify for the World Cup, but it's all about preparation heading into the AFCON. Is there room for improvement? Of course. I'm sure we will see the best Morocco September, October, November heading into the AFCON World Cup. I hope so, at least for this team, because they got all the talent in the world. Gabon, these guys might be serious. With Aubameyang getting 2 goals, he didn't play against Seychelles because, you don't need to have top quality players to beat Seychelles. Gabon are really performing well. Aubameyang to Lemina to Boanga, who I really like Boanga. I think he's a quality player. And to get results like this, their only loss is against Ivory Coast away. And mind you, Gabon are still going to host Ivory Coast in September or October. I can't remember which match window it is. Gabon got a chance here. At least Gabon, if they keep this up with the performances, they should be at least making it to the runners-up position in CAF World Cup qualifiers and go to the 4-team tournament. So don't sleep on this Gabonese team. Keep an eye on them. People can just say, oh, Aubameyang, that's it. No, they are much more than Aubameyang. Ivory Coast, they beat Gambia 1-0. Again, it's not a spectacular performance from the Elephants, but they get the results and they keep doing it. Look, 14 goals scored in 6 games, 0 conceded. I think, though, 9 of those goals were against Seychelles, if memory serves me right. So take that as you wish, but they've beaten Gabon 1-0, Gambia 1-0, they beat Burundi 1-0, drew 0-0 away to Kenya, beat Gambia 2-0 away. Defensively, they are such a good team. You just expect a little bit more going forward, and especially from the midfield. Seko Fofana obviously wasn't called up for this window. I think he's injured, if memory serves me right. Ivory Coast are a good team, but we expect to see a little bit more. But mind you, keeping a clean sheet against Gambia is no easy feat because these guys can score goals with the, obviously, Baro to... I thought Minte actually was really good in this game. Unfortunate for him that his teammates are just not at the level of him. Minte is just up there. Even though he's like 21 years old, superstar potential for me. Superstar potential. The others got to step up. Considering Gambia only conceded 1 goal, I think that's a positive because they conceded 3 to Burundi, 3 to Kenya. Ivory Coast, there's a lot to improve on attacking-wise. Defensively, they are so solid. Midfield, they're defensively solid. They can control the games. They just need a creative outlet in the number 10 role. But mind you, they are still a top 3 team in Africa. And the last result, Burundi 5-0 against Seychelles. Nothing more to say. Seychelles now have a minus 28 goal difference. Minus 28. Oh boy, they are easily the worst team alongside, I would say, Djibouti in this round of qualifiers. Terrible from Seychelles. Good for Burundi. They're still only 5 points behind Gabon. But Gabon, wow, that game against Ivory Coast. And I'm going to check now when that game is. September, people. Mark your calendars. September, Gabon versus Ivory Coast. Wow, that could be very intriguing. I did say Uganda played pretty well against Mozambique in the second half, and they scored a golazo, even though, I mean, the free kick. The Ghanaian goalkeeper starts on the right side, the shot comes from the right side, and yet he still cannot beat it. Good free kick to Okello, good free kick from him. Terrible from the Ghanaian goalkeeper. Guinea, disappointing. What a horrible window. This should have been 6 points. They started this window on 6 points. They should have been on 12 points. Guinea, they should be on level points with Mozambique. To drop points against Uganda and Somalia? You can't trust these guys. Maybe Guinea are the new Mali. Inexcusable. For the talent they have, there has to be major questions on this national team. Major questions. Great for Uganda. They're only 3 points behind Mozambique. Botswana, they beat, obviously, Somalia 2-0, although it did take until the 74th minute. I didn't get to check out the game or the highlights, so excuse me, people. But yeah, Botswana picking up a 2-0 victory. And the game I did watch, Algeria 5-1. 5-1 against Mozambique. Petkovic. Write it down, people. Petkovic is doing a phenomenal job so far with Algeria. Get rid of some of the old guard. Bring in some fresh blood. Bring in some freshness to this national team. And you're seeing the benefits of it because, wow, they are a very entertaining team to watch. I did talk about, I think, Amoura heading into the last AFCON that, hey, this guy from Royal Union Saint-Joa, keep an eye on him. Baller, goes to Wolfsburg, having a great season with Wolfsburg. He has gotten 5 goals in this window. For me, he was the player throughout the entire world for World Cup qualifiers. Pace, dribbling, finishing ability. Shout out to Mahrez, even though he's an old guard for this team. Wonderful assistant to Amoura for one of the goals. And Amoura with just a phenomenal window. And Algeria with a phenomenal window. To go away to Botswana and get a 3-1 victory was great, considering the heat, their fasting, then hosting Mozambique, who are second in the table, a dangerous opposition. They've been on a very good unbeaten streak, difficult team to play against. To score 5 goals past them, Petkovic, he might be the one. He might be the one. Obviously, Jenny Katamo scored a ridiculous goal, by the way. That was a great goal from Katamo, but good response from Algeria. They knew the pressure was on in this game. They actually knew that Mozambique were feeling confident heading into the game. It was one of the biggest games maybe in Mozambique's history. So for Algeria to do that, Boudadi in the midfield, by the way, what a baller Boudadi is in the midfield. Keep an eye on him. But I'm liking this front three of Amoura, Guri, and Mahrez. I think that's the future for Algeria. Maybe Mahrez, he will stay along for the World Cup, and then after that will retire with the national team. But Mahrez, if he can have that creative outlet, because he's not going to have the speed. His game has never been about speed, but just that quick step, that little bit quick reaction, it's kind of gone from his game. But the playmaking is still there. So with Amoura, with his off-ball runs, can do so well and just get into those tight spaces. I'm liking this Algerian team. The elite midfield is Benacer and Boudadi. If they can just keep Benacer healthy, Algeria are building something very good. The last couple of AFCONs have been a disaster. This team is the real deal once again. And hopefully they can keep this confidence going. Amoura playing still at a high level heading into the AFCON later this year. And I don't think this group is over, by the way, because Algeria could easily drop points. But you're seeing a good national team once again, and one that the Algerians can believe in. And definitely with a player like Amoura, you can definitely believe in this national team. For Mozambique, very disappointing. I thought defensively they were all over the place in the matchup. Look, they're still only 3 points behind Algeria, but this performance brings you back to earth if you're Mozambique. Algeria, fantastic. They're now on 15 points heading into the last 4 match days. Namibia, they still control their destiny. Second place in this group, get a 1-1 draw with Equatorial Guinea. So Lulule getting the goal, Coco getting the goal. Not the greatest of matchups, I would say. But Namibia, they still are ahead of Liberia, and that's the most important thing. Considering Liberia only got a 2-1 victory over Sao Tome and Principe. I didn't watch the game, so I can't analyze the game. That's not the most convincing because Sao Tome and Principe are the worst team by far in this group. So Namibia and Liberia, they're fighting out for that second spot. If Equatorial Guinea beat Namibia, Equatorial Guinea would be straight into the race for the second place in this group. Tunisia then picking up a 2-0 victory over Malawi. This was a much better performance from Tunisia. Mejbri looking fantastic in the midfield. Abdi, the left back, I mean, he's just going forward after every opportunity getting forward. Dahmen with a critical save at the end with the penalty. And I think this was Achuri's one of his best games for Tunisia. And they looked a little bit more creative with their passage of play because they know Malawi are just going to sit back and defend. But Tunisia actually created good opportunity. Like, we can always be critical of Tunisia and just saying, 1-0 Merchants. They just get a lucky goal. They're the luckiest team in the CAF region. But you got to give credit. They absolutely destroyed Malawi. This game could have been 5-0, 6-0. Obviously, they get the late goal with Jazari, who comes off the bench, and a critical goal from all Tunisia just need is a striker. Because Slimani in this game, not great. Masturi, not great. That's why I thought Achuri was actually the best player for Tunisia alongside Mejbri. So yeah, really good performance from Tunisia. They're going to qualify to the World Cup. They haven't lost a game in this group. They are an organized team. They always will be. It's just the goal scoring will be their downfall in like the big moments like in an AFCON or in the World Cup. The final group then, Mali, there is nothing else to say. You played so fantastic against Comoros and you can't score a single goal against Central African Republic. The less said, the better about Mali, because that is inexcusable. You have chances and chances. You create good opportunities against Central African Republic. You can't win. You have to win this game if you're Mali. So disappointed because they're such a talented team. But when you just get a glimmer of hope, they crushed your dreams. I don't know how it feels to be Malian. I really don't, because you just see this team play so well against Comoros and then drop points here. It just must be so disheartening to be a fan of Mali. To be fair, they control the game, but it's just about that final ball, that final action of getting a shot off or at least getting a good opportunity, and it cost them big time. Defensively, they're solid, right? It's just now about the goal scoring that's going to affect Mali. They're done. They're going to need an absolute bottle job from the teams ahead of them. The team, though, that had the most impressive window across these World Cup qualifiers is Ghana. 8 goals scored, 0 conceded. And Otto Adoi, for all the criticism he has gotten since the AFCON qualifiers, and rightfully so, I thought he was a dead man walking. I thought, you're getting sacked. There is no way he's going to keep his job. Kept this job. Good lineup choices against Chad, even though it's Chad. I mean, everybody will score against Chad and not concede a goal. To do what he did tactically, to completely frustrate Madagascar. I mean, Madagascar didn't have a kick in the game when you're talking about attempts on goal. Only attempts Madagascar had were just long-range shots because they switched to a back 5 and it worked out perfectly. Obviously, Semenyo playing at the striker. I don't think he's comfortable in that position. Jordan Ayew playing in the more 10 role. I think that really fit him well because his final ball was fantastic. Obviously, Partey with 2 set-piece goals. And then Kudus from a wonderful pass from Ayew. Ghana, they didn't offer much going forward, but they were just so organized. And I think that's the thing they need. They need defensively to be organized because they got all the attacking talent in the world. They can change the game with their subs, whether it's Inaki Williams or Ernest Noema. But tactically, you got to give Otto Adoi A+. A+ for this window. And now Ghana. It's so funny. All the Ghanaians, they jumped off this bandwagon of the national team after the AFCON qualifiers. Same here. I thought this team, wow, how do you respond? I think everybody's slowly returning because they see that this team showed attitude. They showed character. They showed a professional mindset in these two games. Because Madagascar are a decent team. You cannot sleep on them. Ghana knew we got to be engaged from the first minute, and they tactically were ready. Mentally, they were ready. They got the goals, and perfect window for Ghana because Comoros, they obviously lost to Mali. Not great against Chad. They win the game, so that's at least good for Comoros. Now, Ghana are in a perfect position here, people, because if you look at their last 4 games, let's look at Ghana's last 4 games. Home to Comoros, home to Mali. They only go away to Central African Republic and away to Chad. Are Ghana going to do it? They're going to qualify to back-to-back World Cups. I think they are, people, because 3 points is only 3 points. They got a good goal difference, so that will help them. It's just that game home to Comoros and Mali. That's everything. When is the game against Comoros? I think that's the final game. That is the final game, people, is Ghana hosting Comoros. It could be everything there. So great window for Otto Adoi, great window for Jordan Ayew, and a good goal for Kudus because this season it hasn't been the same Kudus compared to last year. So getting a goal, I think, brings massive confidence to him. So now let's look at the runners-up positions in the CAF region because obviously the top 4 will go to the playoff. We don't know what's going to happen with the Group B results because of Congo and no Eritrea. So CAF sorted out ASAP. In the meantime, Gabon on 15 points, Cameroon, Senegal, Namibia, Comoros, Mozambique, all on 12 points. Burkina Faso, 1 point behind. Wow, this runners-up position to get into the playoff, and then it's only 4 teams, and then only 1 team makes it into the intercontinental playoff. It's so grueling. It is just, it's good that CAF now got more spots, but even then, you look at some of the names here, like a Cameroon, a Senegal. Imagine if we saw a Cameroon-Senegal playoff game only to qualify into the intercontinental playoff. It's damning, it's tough, and that's why CAF World Cup qualifiers are the most difficult in the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, people. Which team impressed you the most in this window in CAF World Cup qualifiers? And of course, we will be returning with the CAF World Cup qualifying content in September. We're gonna have some other videos, so if you love CAF content, this is the channel to be. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Remember to follow me on all the socials. Links to those, description down below. Have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.